Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Feeding Fatty. This is your host, Roy.
This is Terry.
So we are chronicling our journey through, becoming more healthy. I'm trying to lose some weight, get back in the gym. So we're talking about us, as individuals, and we also we have professionals and different disciplines that come on as guests from time to time. And today is no different. Terry, I'll let you introduce Sarafina.
Sarafina Arthur-Williams is the CEO and founder of Intentional Simplicity LLC, a wellness-based mental health private practice. As a wellness and creative consultant, she educates her clients and mental health practitioners about positive psychology, art therapy, and the value of wellness and mindfulness. She is ranked on Feedspot's top psychology bloggers of 2020 and features as a guest speaker on a variety of mental health platforms. To encourage sustainability, Seraphina documents how she practices wellness in her daily life through her online presence. Welcome to the show, Seraphina. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. There's so much to unpack with this. I'm going to just, first off, let you tell us, kind of how you found yourself in this space. What events led up to you being where you are today?
Sure. I opened Intentional Simplicity in 2020, truly because of my lack of support around my mental health, my culture, my intersectionality, and my education. I was definitely struggling through my PhD program while also trying to find my niche within my field. There are lots of things that get in the way of me getting the resources to my clients, for example, insurance, access, sustainability, things like that. And I really was trying to implement something that I could help my clients create a sustainable, well-based life. In that, I teach people how to learn more about themselves, implement their authenticity and creativity within their practice, business life, or like their personal lives. And then from there, I also support people in understanding their identity. Identity exploration is a huge part of intentional simplicity, and we're really here to help us honor what we've been through and how our journey is going to manifest.
So, and you are a master's level practitioner. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so I got my master's in psychology, as well as fine arts and art therapy and counseling. So it's a whole small swoop of learning, and it kind of just like ended up building the right sustainable, I guess, practice for me to help my clients with. And from there, I decided I wanted to know more about clinical psychology, and that's what made me pursue further education. But currently, I wanted to know, how can I use my credentials and my degrees and my education to really create a sustainable practice for other people? And so I've been shifting my view of mental health and have been looking a lot more into industrial psychology and workplace environments and self-care and wellness within these spaces, because I recognize the value of it. So I'm really excited to be in this space and to use my gifts to serve others.
Wow. Well, I like all those different disciplines because they're all very important in our self-care. And I think we can just get back to the basics for just a minute, that, like us trying to improve our eating and eat better, exercise and all that. While it is part of self-care, but also self-care makes all those things easier. I mean, it's a little bit circular in respect that, we have to really take care of ourselves, because, for a lot of us, it's that emotional, if it's the eating, it's the emotional eating, excuse me, or maybe even the emotional drain of stress from the day. Instead of going to the gym in the evening, it's like, let's just get the popcorn chocolate and put on a good movie and sit here and watch that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very comforting, and it gets us out of the discomfort of we've been going throughout the day. It takes a lot of energy for us as humans to move through our days. So when you get a chance to just decompress, I bet we jump on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there's so much energy sucking going on. It's just crazy.
Absolutely.
And some of it's self-imposed. I mean, it's like, okay, is this really happening? I mean, what's going on here?
Yep.
Yeah, I like the message of the company. Tell me if I get it exactly right, but it's intentional simplicity.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is such a it's such a strong term, because I think also as humans, we try to overcomplicate things in life, and really, most things that are good and good for us should not be that difficult.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
I don't know if that's something that you found in your studies, or as you talk to different people that you work with, is that, we tend to overcomplicate it ourselves, but then we also get ourselves in these complex situations that even start heaping more on us.
Absolutely. I find that intentional simplicity was created to help myself sustain a wellness practice. As a wellness-based therapist, it's so important for me to be able to balance and ground myself prior to seeing someone else. And so, how was I going to do this? And with my schedule, I was so jam-packed with classes, with work, with family, with just like personal needs. And I was really concerned as to why this couldn't be much more simpler. Why did I have to work so hard just to get the things that I needed? And in there, I was like, I'm going to try to intentionally, simply be me and do these things as best as I can. So, listening to my body. Do I need to have a meal right now? Do I need to have water? Do I need to go to sleep? Do I need to take a shower? Do I need to go for a walk? Your body in itself is a huge indicator of your wellness. And the first thing that's most important is understanding how to connect with you. And that is where the identity focus stems from, and learning about what your body is asking for versus what your soul may need versus what your mind may need versus what the environment's doing to you. There are a lot of things that we must consider when we're creating our self-care, but it has to be with you in mind or it won't work.
Which is also another, I think, I don't know if it's another way to say, or another step in the process, is the uh, uh, self-realization. I mean, we really have to consider, where we are, what we're doing. And self-realization is not the word that I'm looking for. I'm trying to think, but just being able to be true to ourselves, but also to be honest about what is going on around us, and where are these where is that pressure, that stress, where's that uncomfortableness, where's it come from? Because a lot of times we actually self-aware, that was the word I'm looking for, self-aware, sorry, but we a lot of times we have the power to change these things. It may be uncomfortable, and we talk about that, with me and Terry. There's some things that we talk about doing that's like, eesh, I know it would help, but it's just an uncomfortable step.
Mm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, that discomfort is a huge indicator of preference, you know? And for humans, we don't really get the space to decide what's best for us because we're always around other things, other influences. And in that, we lose the ability to decide what really is best for us. We're
Right.
constantly second guessing or using other means to address issues that aren't really here. For example, substance abuse, emotional abuse, all of these different things that we're putting onto ourselves that don't really serve us anymore. So I create the self care into our wellness based approaches to our healing, mainly because how can you be sustainable with you? You are who you're with the entire time you're here on earth. And so, in
Yeah,
that, how can you sustain being with you? Knowing how to nourish your basic needs is the first step. And knowing that it doesn't have to be hard is okay too. Knowing that you don't have to be uncomfortable to grow. No matter what, whether it's uncomfortable or comfortable, we are growing. When we set
right.
our intention, it helps us determine in what direction we're going in. And that's where the support of a therapist, a coach, family, friends, whatever helps you keep, what is the word, accountable for your intentions and your goals.
Yeah.
So it's truly a whole wellness-based approach.
Yeah, and we talk about, we talk about the self-awareness and self-realization and all that, but also how much of this is put on us by society, or our need for justification, or our need of others to acceptance, or their whatever that is, because I think about that a lot with um, and I recounted this the other day, but there was a story on our local news station that they did about a guy that he used to be an options trader, and it was probably very stressful. He probably made a lot of money, but he had a health event, and then now he is a muralist, painting stuff on walls and doing all this work. And they interviewed him, and he was like so happy, and he's like, I can't believe I did that for so long. But what it made me think about was that sometimes it's that inner self that we want to achieve more, we want to do this, and we think that we thrive in this environment. But conversely, I think that sometimes it's the thought about what others think about us. What society's measure of success. For me, the house I live in, or the salary or the job title that I have, and I don't know. Part of this is getting older. It's easy, at my age, because I've been through all this, and now I can look back and say, none of that stuff is worth it. It's what is on our inside, what makes us truly happy. That's what we have to pursue.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, a lot of the transitioning occurs within. Like the best work occurs in those transitional moments when you're really faced with who you are, what the world needs of you, and what you really want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you find that working with the people that you work with is the struggle? I mean, I know it's up to us to change, but is this a pressure that we put on ourselves, or do you think it's more that it's this societal view that we need to kind of let go of that?
Absolutely. I think we can't negate the value of culture, and knowing that we are in a space that culture permeates everything that we do. To say that it's just our environment or just us or them, it takes away from all the things that make you who you are. And that is an intersectional person. That's a person that has many parts that creates one whole. And so by throwing away our environment and saying, like, I'm going to focus all on me, you lose the connection of what it's like to have people around. We speak in circles, we grow in circles, and we're all connected. And so by saying, okay, well, I'm going to focus mainly on the environment, then they lose what you bring to the table. And so it's a constant battle of whether or not, and I hate to say the word battle, but what works best for you, and what is your environment bringing to the table, and what are you like holding on to? And so a lot of the things that we explore when we're doing that inner work is what emotions are yours and which ones aren't. What has someone brought into your space that has landed on you, and now you're taking on that energy. So for example, you go to work and your boss has an awful morning, and they come talk to you and they have an attitude and they're giving you all this extra work to do. And in that, you immediately become angry, and you're now taking on the boss's energy and then your energy, and the next person you see, then you're moving on and moving on. And this is your workspace. This is where you guys want to profit. This is where you want things to be moving. But now your emotions have become the focus rather than the task at hand. And so when we think about these intentions and these goals and these things that we want for ourselves, make sure you're really exploring what's coming and who is it coming from. If you are the person that's going through whatever you may be going through, it's much easier to access that information rather than to get the information as someone else that has landed onto you. And that's why therapy is awesome, because you sit there and you talk to one person about the things that are going inside of you without the clutter of the world in that space. But your therapist or the person who is helping you guys progress should be aware of the culture that you are in the experiences of the environment that you've been a part of, your family, how they impact you, your job, how that impacts you, your finances, all of these different things. And so it is a holistic approach when you're doing internal work. And we often negate all the other parts that make us strong.
We do. That's true.
But that's a hard thing. And I don't know if it may not be simplistic enough just to fling some ideas out there, but that's something that, I don't know why it's not that there's anything really bad going on in our life, but for some reason over the last few weeks, that conversation we've had it more and more about not letting other people's problems be put upon us.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, it's hard because, if somebody, somebody in the outside world roughs me up a little bit, then, unfortunately, Terry's the closest one to me. She probably gets some of that runoff. But, are there any, I guess, coping mechanisms or, like I'm your boss and I come at you and like, okay, I had a bad drive in this morning and now I'm in the office and I'm like, hey, why don't you have this done? Or you didn't do it just like exactly like I wanted and blah, just like piling on and on and on until you feel small. And then it's like, how do we protect ourselves from that? Or how can we distance to be able, because it's easy to verbally say, oh, you know what, that's that guy's problem. He had a bad day, this or that. But it's, well, I'll speak for me. It's harder to release that. I guess intuitively or intellectually, I know that that's what's going on. That's like, man, I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting here minding my own business. But still, I would tend to carry that with me through the rest of the day instead of being able to release it. So I guess, I don't know if you've got any words for that or not.
Yeah, absolutely. You just made me get a brain blast.
Okay.
I was speaking with one of my clients and they were talking about how their work environment makes them very reactive rather than responsive. And in those spaces, you have to be responsive rather than reactive because you must let it sink in and then respond to your environment. This person is a medical professional, so they're constantly moving and they have been in the swing of COVID and that pressure that's there. And what you just said to me was release. So it sounds like we have these three options that we can do in these moments when we're confronted with another experience, which is we can react, respond, or release. And to do these things is to first recognize what's really showing up. And that first step is identifying what sparks or triggers you. What comes up for you when you're having this conversation with someone else. Do you feel a sense of ease? Do you feel calm? Do you feel frustrated, angry, sad, apprehensive, worried? All of these things. And we often don't have the language to these emotions, which makes it difficult for us to address what's really going on, which makes it even more difficult for the person responding to you to respond appropriately. Because if you're really sad and you're expressing anger, and you get kicked out of work, that's different than, do you need time off and can we talk about what's going on later? That's a much easier response to like take into yourself and then experience what happens next, rather than now my boss is mad at me. Now this is happening. Now this is happening. Now I have to go. And it all started about you just feeling sad. And that was what was showing up for you. So we must consider the language you're using. And within workspace spaces, our leaders must also be aware of how to respond to our employees and to one another. If I'm going to continue, if you guys are all right with that.
Yes, please.
But then we go from there and then we say, so where is it showing up? Is it showing up within your mental wellness? Is it showing up within your spiritual, your professional, your physical, your health overall? Where are these things or emotions coming up in your wellness? And when we talk about all the different parts of our wellness, truly think about you. What makes you who you are in all dimensions? And help you recognize, do I have a hardship within my interpersonal relationships? Is it hard for me to have relationships with other people? Is that where I get my a lot of distress or discomfort from? Or is it my physical health? Is that something that I really can't reach because I'm seeing the environment impact me so much more than seeing my progress internally? So there's a lot of things that we can focus on, which helps you narrow down instead of thinking I have to do all of these things while also managing my emotions, while also managing the world around me, while also figuring out how to get to the next thing in the day. Take it one step at a time and ask yourself these questions. What is showing up for me? Where is it showing up? You know, how can I balance myself in this moment? So from here, I like to do these things with clients who have like really speedy schedules, which is 5-minute emergency self-care plans. So for example, you have 5 minutes to say, I'm going to go use the restroom. And in that time, you do your affirmations. You maybe do some deep breathing. You maybe go for a light walk or get a drink of water. And these things in itself slow your brain down and tell you to bring it back to a grounding. When we're getting heightened in these emotional spaces, it's likely that our body is responding to survival rather than just living, and that's because we're humans. That's what we do. Our mind is ready to keep us safe. However, when we are going through these times, the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to talk to yourself. Bring yourself into a place where you can change your mind, because your mind is needing to be changed. You're not in a fear-based space. You're not hurting. You're not in need of survival. You're okay. What do you need? And how can you move forward? And other things you can do, journaling, you can have peer groups, maybe a work buddy or a accountability buddy, and block your time out. So I'm going to disclose a little bit as a person who has ADHD, but has to be very on schedule as an entrepreneur and a boss and a CEO and a therapist and all these things. I pack my day with self-care before I schedule anything else. So for the morning, I don't start working or seeing anyone until 12 because I need that time to get up. I don't like mornings. I need to make sure I have got a coffee. I could take a shower if I wanted to. I could go sit outside. And by noon, hopefully Seraphina has herself together to start the day. And then from there, if I have a client after or so, I take maybe 30 minutes to journal or talk to a friend who's just encouraging me. So it really is about, what do I need to make it through my day that's sustainable? These things are all within myself. This is me saying, I'm going to reach out to someone I like. I'm going to make a meal. I'm going to go for a walk. It's just picking you in the times when you need to be chosen, and we often negate that. And
I can only imagine in your job that.
She had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. The last part is to celebrate your growth. And that is because recognize that you are growing and you're progressing in a positive direction, even though it is uncomfortable. Have little celebration kits, that have like maybe notes that a friend has said to you about your progression or the things that you've done. Maybe have like gratitude circles where you connect with people once a month and talk about all the great things you've done, because you've probably done a million things that are awesome within a month that we don't really tap into. And they can be very small or very large. No matter what, addressing and acknowledging that you are doing well is a wonderful thing to do for your self-care.
I like that gratitude circle. That's awesome.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, celebrating the small things, because, and I have a business podcast, and something I talk about over there a lot is, if we have 10 things on our to-do list today, we get 7 done, and we'll spend the rest of our day beating ourselves up about the 3 we didn't get done. And it's like, well, we got 70%. If we, I use the baseball analogy, if you could hit 700 in baseball, you'd be a gazillionaire. So why shouldn't we celebrate ourselves that we did 70%? I mean, and I'm not telling you I've mastered that yet. I'm still working on that, but it's like, we try. And the other thing I have to give you, a lot of props for is your job, because I'm telling you, if somebody came in and plopped on my couch right now and started telling me their problems, I'd be like, you don't know the half of it. So I know that it must be a huge emotional drain, for you to help people. So, thank you for that. Thank you for what you do. I know that the individuals you help probably thank you tremendously as well. But it's such a, because we're talking about this self-care and what other people put on us, but you're a little different. You invite people to come in and put this stuff on you. I know it's a little different because it's not directed at you, but still, you develop caring and other, feelings for people that you help. And so I'm sure that that's like, so.
Yeah, for sure. And within my training, I also understand what it's like for me to be someone who holds emotions and holds space for other people. And that is why I get to decide what my self-care is going to be the most important thing for me. But you've brought up something really wonderful, which is like based off of your role in society, your career, your plans, your goals, that's the kind of self-care that you need to be implementing,
Right.
So what is the strength required for my emotionally intensive job? How much self-care do I need, rather than someone who doesn't have an emotionally intensive job but they need to get out and exercise a lot more because they're sitting in front of the desk the whole time. So there's a lot of different things that we can question to help us explore which one's best for us. Another good one is like, sometimes people think self-care is selfish, and you're negating the things that are important, when in truth, to not choose you in times when you have to disappoint someone is disservice to who you are,
Right.
because you are the most important part of your wellness. And every time that you don't choose you when you needed to choose you, you teach yourself that that's okay. And that's not okay. That's
Yeah.
not what you want. So the language is very important, how you talk about these issues that you're going through, and then also how you talk about the strengths that you have because of who you are. So there's a lot of things that we can do together to implement wellness in a way that myself and my client are thriving out of the space that we've created, rather than hurting or like counter transferring or transferring emotions onto one another. It's really important that the therapist or the
Right.
practitioner have that mindset prepared. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, self-care is unselfish. I mean, it's
Hmm.
the best thing that you can do.
Hmm.
And so many people and don't realize that until you're like deep into into the fog, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like too, I don't feel like, I can be the best partner to Terry if I'm, got health issues. And that's one thing that,
Yeah.
has really become, not that I have any, but it's just become more of a realization that we don't want it to get that way. And so the self-care, getting healthy, that journey is more important because of those things that you say. I can't be my best for others if I am not at my best. And I
Mm,
think it gets back to sometimes our jobs too, that we self-sacrifice because of a job. And I think we have to be careful. We need our income and we need that, but also um, the reciprocation, because believe me, a company will cut you in a heartbeat when they need to. But yet we put up with all of this stuff where we don't take care of ourselves, we don't exercise, we don't eat, we don't have that time, and then the stresses that go with that. So it's difficult. But there's an old song that says, I love the line, it says something about surrender but don't give yourself away. And that's so very important. It's a fine line to develop where that is, but we have to always keep ourselves in mind.
hmm. Yes, that's beautiful. I I hear that I see ourselves being like on a tether within our wellness, and we're always being pulled away, but then always trying to come back to ourselves, always being pulled away, then trying to come back to ourselves.
Right.
And it'd be much easier if you just could be with yourself while also going. So you're not always having to track back into who you are. But
Right.
that takes work. That takes a lot of grounding work. And also recognizing where you fit and where you don't,
Yep.
recognizing where you are wanted and where you're not wanted.
Yeah.
Recognize where you're seen and when you're not seen. And I say these things because people within my community, I'm an African American queer woman, probably are experiencing the same things and don't feel seen, don't feel heard. But like you said, this is my livelihood. I have to get money to work.
Right.
And that creates a huge discourse between what comes first, the money or the person. And we've been in a society for some time now where we don't really invest in humanity. We sort of invest in our economy and the services that we can give. And that's totally fine. We live in a capitalistic world. However, when the person who is creating these jobs and these things for us can no longer function, what happens next?
Right.
Who's there? And that is a problem for us because we are humans at the core, and us as we are worthy and valuable, but our society does not allow us to recognize that. So then you start to do that good work for yourself, asking yourselves these questions. Does this environment serve me? Do I feel seen here? What is the culture like? Does it align with my values and morals? Does it hurt me or help me? Do I see a future here? What patterns and themes have been consistent thus far? And how can I shift? And believe that if you leave one thing, there's going to be another. There's endless possibilities. There really is. And we often get pigeonholed into this one idea, like I have this good thing and it's going to be gone and I have nothing else. But what happens if it goes away? Like you gave me the story earlier about someone who ended up being a muralist after leaving a job that was difficult for them. And that has been so fulfilling, I'm sure. And the difference is even more rewarding than making X amount of dollars. So it really depends on when you're ready to make these decisions. Will you choose you? Where will the courage come from?
Yeah. The, in business and in finance, we talk about we are the sum of the 5 people that surround us. So let's extrapolate that to self-care for a minute. And I don't know that you've studied it or there's anecdotal evidence on that, but it just was curious, a thought that if we have to be careful with who we surround ourselves. Do they take care of themselves? Are they the kind of people that we want to be with? Because as leaders, supposedly we are the leader that we are the kind of leader of the people that we surround ourselves with, I guess is the easiest way to say that. We are the sum of the Well, I apologize. I fell off for just a minute, Seraphina. I don't know if you can still hear me or not, but
I can still hear
I guess
you.
the question was that what I had asked, and if you answered it, I'm sorry, you may have to tell us one more time. But it seemed like we've got a bad Zoom connection going on here. I know I've fallen off a couple times, but so are we the sum? Like in our self-care world, are we the sum of those 5 people that we are closest to?
Hmm. Hmm. I think that's a really good question. And I would have to say it depends on who you are surrounded by. So to be in a cohort of people who do not align with your morals and values is very easy to become swayed, but that does not necessarily mean that you are also like them. And that's what makes
Right.
our brain really cool, is that it's so malleable. We can start to change and adapt different patterns of thinking based off of who we're with, what we start to do, how we start to shift. And so by surrounding yourself with people that make you feel stronger or that inspire you or help you feel seen or give you a voice when you didn't have one, those are things that become concrete elements, which is very similar to being in relationships that are abusive, that bring you down, that hurt you, which become concrete experiences. So yeah, maybe we are a part of these things, but does that mean it is who we are? I don't want to say it is. I think it is, going back to that culture aspect. How has your culture really impacted you? And is it benefiting
Right.
you or is it harming you? How does it serve you? That was a great question.
Right.
And I would definitely, I think that would make people consider who is around you, you know,
Yeah.
and who helps you keep you grounded and aligned with who you want to be. And if you don't
Yeah.
have people like that in your life, let's start to re-explore, re-examine how we can get these people in your life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I know that there are people that everybody knows that are, negative and they're energy suckers. And then it's like, yeah, because the other thing I was thinking about is not so much at our age, but, especially if you're younger, instead of, hey, I need to go, I need to go, I need to be eating right and I need to go to the gym and I need to get in bed early, sleep, all of these components of self-care. But, maybe you hang out with people that, hey, we want to go out to the beer joint and hang out and stay up till late, not get any sleep. Anyway, earlier it just kind of hit me that I think in all aspects of our life we just really have to be careful of who we give our time to, because whether we do it consciously or not, that energy that they have really transfers to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, that's such a good thing to say. And I can even translate it into what is it like to be impacted by a therapist, right? That energy is transferring in that room and it's creating
Yeah.
something different. And it's just because I'm a human that it works that way, and the person in front of me is as well. So we can create that energy exchange. But what happens when you don't have the strength to get out of these spaces that are, I would say, vampire sucking or energy suckers? And in that, it's very sad because now your environment is trumping you,
Yeah.
rather than you and your environment working harmoniously to create a good balance of who you want to be in your future, who you are now, things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are in the situation right now because of COVID, being stuck in a home or in a job or an environment because of the situation we're in. And that is awful. But knowing how to at least keep yourself grounded is going back to those nourishing things. Are you breathing? Are you drinking water? Are you eating? Are you getting sleep?
Yeah.
Pick you.
Yeah, and the other thing too, this came up in another discussion, but I think we have to give ourselves permission that it's, number one, okay to take care of us, but number two, that it's okay to make these kind of changes, because sometimes it's hard, for all the reasons we've talked about, but you have to, eventually you've got to say, it's okay to choose me.
Okay to renegotiate. I think that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. I often tell my friends and my clients about what are your non-negotiables, right? And
Right.
what things are you willing to like negotiate on? And so maybe you have been going to the gym for a week straight now, and a friend that you know who loves to party invites you to come out, and you're like, you know what? I'm celebrating my growth. You going and doing something that encourages where you've been in the past, but helps you grow. And I say, but that is like when you're put in a situation that you have to decide something different than you have normally decided, that is where the transitioning and the growth will
Right.
occur. So yeah, you'll go out, but then you get back to the
Yeah.
next day and you're going back to the gym. You're still eating the things you wanted to be
Yeah.
eating. Just because you have done something different doesn't mean it's now the trajectory from now on. And
Yeah.
often people who are going through weight changes and health and emotionally abusive relationships struggle with this idea of like, if this one time I change, I'm fallen off. Or if this one time they have done this, they're now miraculous, they're better. And though that's not true, it's okay to hold both truths in a space. I
Yeah.
am growing while I also am suffering.
Yeah.
I am doing better while I also acknowledging that I've been through a hard time.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like how you just put that.
Yeah.
I really am paying attention. I have notes galore here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no,
Oh my
it's good stuff, because I think that, and that's one thing we've talked about too, is that, for me, I'm that one time and change, and then, man, I am off the path and I am somewhere else. And so really having that self-realization that it's okay for this one thing to happen. It doesn't
Mhm.
need to derail us from the
or
future path
define
that
you.
we're on. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And in that mind process, believing that whether or not you work out or don't work out, you are worthy as a human being, as being who you are, right? So we've crossed that off. Working out doesn't make you greater or less than of a person, but working out could make you a healthier individual, you know? And so it's like changing the language around what are we actually doing these things for? You know, are we really doing it to seem like we are fitting in and we have a community that aligns with who we are? Is it something that we're doing because we want to grow, or is it something for someone else? You know, and within partnerships, we make these sacrifices, and it's knowing whether or not the sacrifice is hurting you or it's bettering the space that you guys have created together. And it's being kind and considerate to each other's experiences of the world as well.
Right. Well, you have something, Terry? No, you had a
no,
smile. You had
it's
a
like
look.
sinking in. I'm
Okay.
like, sacrifice. I'm like, wait, I gotta write that down.
Well, Seraphina, we appreciate you being with us. I mean,
my
this is
gosh,
so
this has
much
been
good
great.
stuff because, you know, we talk about mindset. You know, we have to get in the right mindset. We have to do these things for us before we can get healthy. You know, it seems like everybody would know this, but if we really want to change, we have to make a change, and we can't continue to do the same thing and hope that everything is going to get better. So I think, you know, hopefully the message is that we need to choose us. It's not selfish to do that. We can still choose us, but yet still be, you know, kind and engaged with other people. But we will be a better person to other people. We'll be a better person to ourselves as well.
Absolutely. And I would like to leave you guys with something that you can set your intention with whenever you are having to engage in the world or within yourself. May I have a tender heart and a soft mind. May I gain an understanding of my inner and outer connectedness.
Oh, I love that about the tender heart.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, because I don't think we don't want to get off on this, but too much, but I don't think we have enough empathy for, you know, instead of, you know, somebody comes at you, instead of coming right back at them, is like, maybe we just have that empathy that, you know what, it's just something else is going on in their world we don't know about. We have to, I like that. You know, you said earlier, take a step back, take a deep breath. And how did you say it was, be responsive, not reactive? I mean, I love that. I love that so much because, you know, when we get stressed and when we're pushed to the limit, it's that reaction. And unfortunately, that stuff lives for a long time. It's not, you know, things that come out of your mouth, you can't always take them back. And so really let it sink in and have some empathy for the other person and maybe where they are at and what they're going through before we do respond.
And then when you need to release, knowing
react,
what activity.
Respond, release, and recognize.
Recognize. I don't know, good at words.
That's what I was going to say. Add that. There's
yeah, that's really awesome. And I wanted to share that you added the release, and it can be the release that's best for you after you have responded. So maybe it is hanging out with someone fun. Maybe it is going to the gym. Maybe it's creating artwork. But the release should be rooted in how you love on you, because you're trying to get this energy out. I love to dance. I love to take showers when I'm angry. So those are the two things that I do. When I want to get something out of my body, I love to dance it out. And then if it's in the nighttime or it's in the morning, I just take a shower and genuinely release and let the things fall off my body. And it's just a good practice to get in the mind, you setting that intention. So you're not ever questioning why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good advice for sure. All right, Seraphina. Well, we're going to wrap up. If you wouldn't mind, tell everybody, of course, how they can reach out and get a hold of you, you know, who that you help, how you can help them, and of course, how they get in touch with you.
Sure. So my name is Sarafina Arthur-Williams. If you would like to contact our business line, feel free to reach us at 412-294-8708. And you're also able to text this line as well. My email address is intentionalsimplicityco@gmail.com. And my favorite place is my website, and you can check it out at liveintentionallysimplistic.com. And then on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or Intentional Simplicity LLC.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, y'all reach out, see how Seraphina can help y'all. And thank you so much for your
Oh
time.
my
I know
gosh, it's been
we've
great.
ran a little bit longer, but it
You're
was a
fine.
great conversation. So we appreciate that.
And her website is awesome. I've been on it all morning. Going, okay, what do I need to do? Where am I? I need this. No, I need that.
Thank you both. It's been wonderful.
Awesome.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Feeding Fatty. Of course, I am Roy.
I'm Terry.
You can find us at feedingfatty.com. We're also on all the major social media platforms. Video of this interview will go up on YouTube when it goes live. And we are also on all the major podcast platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Spotify. If we're not on one that you listen to, please reach out. So until next time, take care of yourself and take care of those around you.